Hey, what's up, guys? Your man Sean Patel, Capitol Records right behind me. That once meant a lot. It once actually meant something. But anyways, here in Hollywood, California, just finished up Rolly Romero and Teofimo Lopez's kickoff press conference here in LA. And thought I'd give some thoughts that I take away from the presser. So me and Raheem, we went on a couple days ago, talked up Rolly's chances as an underdog. Didn't make any picks yet, but talked up Rolly's chances as an underdog. More patient fighter, perhaps a more natural welterweight, the bigger puncher, definitely punch for punch than Teofimo Lopez. And being that more patient fighter who beat Ryan Garcia with that patience and the threat of an eraser, using his jab a lot, said, you know, don't count Rolly Romero out, as even though he's the betting underdog. Once I did check after the episode, he indeed is. So my takeaways as of today, what is it, July 8th or 9th? Let's say July 8th or 9th. I can't remember the exact day. My pick right now, if I had to make a pick, is Teofimo Lopez. And after giving Rolly a real shot, and I still am, of course, this is a very competitive fight on paper, but I still, after talking up Rolly's chances, even before this presser, lean towards Teofimo because he's just overall the more creative fighter with a quickness advantage too, although Rolly does have explosiveness with one-punch speed and power. But I think that Teofimo, it's not like Rolly is a huge back foot puncher. He knows his distance more now. He's more patient. He has good timing. He can counterpunch a little bit too, like he showed against Ryan Garcia in the second round. And he will move around a little bit. He will get up on his bike when he needs to, but he's not punching off that back foot thus far in his career. Maybe he shows some of that in this fight, but he's not punching on the back foot a whole lot. And I remember Teo against Barboza when they had more of a square dance in the center of the ring, circling each other, but not Barboza punching backwards a lot. He couldn't do that because Teo was the more explosive athlete than he was. Anyways, unless you're like Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, George Kambosos on the night, Shakur Stevenson in January, unless you're punching on the back foot a lot and forcing Teo to fall in, it's not like that's not really what Rolly does. So I think Teo in the center of the ring, where the fight should be fought a lot, is going to have a little bit quicker hands and the better overall skills than Rolly Romero. So I was leaning towards him, but then today made me feel that much more so, just because to play armchair psychologist and things can get dicey, and Rolly these days is not an easy guy to get a read on. I just think, to put it simply, Teo is more serious right now. I think he means a little bit more business. Rolly is interesting when he talks about his faith in God, and I commend him for that. And he will surprise you with some depth sometimes and make salient points. And, you know, sometimes you'll think it's out of left field, or you don't follow him, or you don't necessarily go all the way with him and agree. But then other times you got to give him his credit as being a deep thinker. But all that said, I think against Ryan Garcia, he was more one note in his determination to win that fight. He was still nonchalant like he was today, and all those kinds of things that he's been over the last two or 3 years. But he was more one note with, after I whoop his ass, after I whoop his ass, after I whoop his ass, him and Devin Haney could still have their rematch. He kept saying that. And heading into this fight, he's saying things like, if I lose, and that's what God meant to happen. If it was meant for me to lose to Teo, that's what's going to happen. And then if I'm meant to win, that's what's going to happen. But I'm hearing a lot more, if I lose. And on Teofimo's side, I see him throwing out the friendship a lot more temporarily. Not like with straight hatred and bad blood, but I see more seriousness from him up close and personal today. More back against the wall, I got to win this fight. Just more seriousness, to put it simply. I think he's a little bit more serious heading into this. And he just signed a 4-fight deal with DAZN as his own promoter over the next 18 months, I believe his father told me it was. So I think he feels he needs a win more. And Rolly being a little bit more like self-actualized, a little more Rolly, whether he wins or loses, is still Rolly. He still has his sense of humor. He still has that sense of self. Teofimo Lopez being a blue chipper, a kid who's attached a lot of his identity and his worth to being a championship level prize fighter, thus feels more of that need to win. Whereas Rolly, he's found God, he's found contentment in himself, he has his sense of humor, he's been an overachiever starting late at 17 years old. He could lose and still play a puncher's chance, entertaining B-side for more fights up ahead. Lopez, it's more back against the wall territory for him. If he loses, he really, there's huge questions now about him being a championship level fighter, which is what his whole identity, not his whole identity, but more of his identity is tied to than what Rolly Romero is all about at this stage in their lives. So I think Lopez is a little bit more the back against the wall fighter. I think he's the fighter who's a little bit more serious heading into this. And I think he's the fighter with a little bit more vindictiveness towards his opponent than the other way around. A little bit more seriousness in this fight. So between him having a little bit more overall of a skill, having more of a skill set overall than Rolly, who has gotten better under Ismael Salas, who is more patient, has developed his timing and his counterpunching a bit, and still has the better punch between the two of them. I think Tio, who's gonna maybe get a little breath of a fresh life into him, a little rejuvenation, not having to cut to 140 anymore, getting that first fight at 147. Muscle-bound guy who maybe was starting to cut into some muscle, making 140 for 4 or 5 years. 4 years it was. 4 or 5 years, almost 5 years. I think he'll have a little rejuvenation in the new weight class. And taking from what I saw today in Hollywood, I lean towards Teofimo Lopez to win this fight. But we still got another month or so out. Maybe I'll change my mind. It's not against the law to do so. But right now, my pick would be Teofimo Lopez. We'll see what the next month brings us. I do plan on visiting both fighters in their camp. We'll see how that goes. But I would like to get a look at both of them in the gym and, you know, make a call from there, make a more educated guess from there. But for now, I do lean towards Teofimo Lopez in this fight. Peace.